Jesus was a threat to the Pharisees' way of life. From the reaction of the group, it certainly proved that. Since Jesus' preaching and actions had become popular, and that upset the religious leaders. They were losing people from their control, and that was worrying them. Also, this entry celebration was at the beginning of the Passover. Now, after the Romans had occupied Jerusalem, the Zealots would have a riot during this festival. The Torah instructed the Jews to travel to Jerusalem for the feast. Of course, not every Jew could get into the city. However, the 30,000 or so person population of the city would host over 300,000. That placed a deep strain on the city's resources. The Romans kept a garrison in the northern part of the Galilee to stop any revolt or riot. Usually on the days of the Passover, the governor would bring the garrison into the city. The Roman emperor wanted to move that legion from the north part of the Galilee to battle against the Parthians in the east. They could not move the legion until Pilate stopped the rioting in Jerusalem. They sent Pilate to Jerusalem to make that happen. The people knew this, and yet the Zealots continued to instigate trouble. Pilate explained the situation to the high priest and clarified, if he goes, the high priest goes. Therefore, something had to be done because Jesus' followers were looking like a riot. The Roman governor, noted the entry festivals, and now, through this act, Rome was on the side of the high priest. Both wanted Jesus out of the picture. So what can we learn from this? You know, I remember taking my children to the York County Fair. York County is part of Pennsylvania. There were the animals and the rides and the food stands and the soapbox preacher. And for the times I took my kids to the fair, the soapbox preacher was always there. He preached about the end of the world and how if we did not know Jesus Christ, we would end up in hell. Now, today I understand Jesus' message, and I'm not disagreeing with his message. In fact, I probably agree. What the problem was how he was doing it. Now, you might think that one or more churches would have liked to help him spread the word of the gospel. Oh, that never happened. This guy was alone in his quest to save souls. And I always wondered why no church supported him. Is it not the church that's supposed to spread the gospel? Well, I thought so. But our church is doing this today. The soapbox man at the York Fairgrounds got noticed. But it was not the notice that was beneficial for evangelism. What will get a church noticed is what it does for the community. I was appointed to a church that ran a thrift shop for the town. There was a tiny little sign in the window, I should say a side window of the shop, that it was church run. Therefore, most people did not know that it was sponsored by the church. When I spoke to the leaders of the shop, I was interested in what they did with the yearly profits. Now, in 2007, they had over $50,000 in profits that year. And I was told that they gave the money to over 30 different nonprofit organizations. So I asked the leaders to consider making a big splash in our town instead of sending the money elsewhere out of the town. The church had just built a 7,300 square foot gymnasium / all-purpose building. The town desperately needed an after-school program to get the kids off the streets. I asked the thrift store to sponsor this town activity. This kind of activity would have gotten the church noticed by the church people. It would have generated interest in the church. Even Christians who do not attend church wonder what the value of the church is. I once asked 5 skateboard boys what they thought the purpose was, and the answer was, you go to church for funerals and weddings. Well, that's a sad answer, but the truth for them. 3 of the 5 boys, were non-attending members of the church. Today, people want to see something positive done in their community. Young parents especially have this interest. The day of collecting money to send elsewhere is over. Now, I'm not saying that doing that is not important. However, I'm saying there is more interest in fixing the neighborhood than fixing a place that's on the other side of the planet. Therefore, if the church wants to evangelize, it has to get noticed. $50,000 in 2007 with a free rental building would have created a wonderful youth after-school program. And that program could have been used as a springboard to evangelism. Unfortunately, the thrift store leaders created the store in the mid-1950s to send money overseas. They could not see that the need of the community was greater than the need overseas. Let's face it, if our churches keep crumbling, one day there will be no money to send overseas. It is beyond time to rebuild the infrastructure of our churches. Ask yourself, what is your church known for? By the way, the answer, we have an annual picnic, is a poor answer. There are literally hundreds of churches in York County, Pennsylvania, and I cannot name one church that is doing something for the community at large. And that's really sad. Churches used to be outward going. Today, they are inward going. The mission of the church is to make disciples for Jesus Christ, teach them the faith. You cannot fulfill that mission by staying inside your walls and sending resources to other places. It would be outstanding if the church could do both. However, the key to rebuilding and growth is the question that I asked earlier. It's in that question. What is your church known for in the community? Go out and find something in the community that needs to be fixed, and it is important to the community. Then fix it and become known for doing that work. While doing that work, don't forget to evangelize for Jesus Christ. So God bless you for listening to this message. I hope it blesses you in some way, shape, or form. And as always, yes, shalom.